I heard something go ping. Is that you? Are you still there?
No. Yeah, I'm still here.
Hold on. All right, there we go. Good day, and welcome to Random Thoughts to Stupidity. We already proved our stupidity by the last 15 minutes, if you were paying attention. But we're going to talk about these fucking kids on the internet critiquing movies when they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I mean, that's no offense. There's some people, opinions are opinions, they're like assholes. Everybody's got one. And
Yep.
like,
And they all stink.
yeah. And like some people have got their chops there. Like I know some people on here, they like the new movies, but like, you talk to them and okay, they've seen Dracula 1932, and they've seen like fucking Nosferatu and they've seen Metropolis. But a lot of these kids, like, this fucking, like, for example, we were talking about, this is what the story about, these new Spider-Man movies. And, like, there's a guy, I was telling you, through typing, I'm going to tell you this again. There's a guy that said that Sam Raimi doesn't know how to tell a story and doesn't know how to tell jokes. And, like, that just makes your fucking head want to explode.
Yeah.
Because, like, everybody out there knows who the Coen brothers are, right? Shawshank Redemption.
No, they didn't do Shawshank.
What did they do that was...
Recently, True Grit, Raising Arizona, I can't remember all of them, hell. They done a shitload of movies.
Tim Robbins?
What's that?
What movie
Yeah, Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah, the Hudsucker Proxy. That's the one I was thinking of. I said the fucking Shawshank Redemption. But, like, isn't, like...
Which was co-written by Raimi.
Right, and that's, like, one of their influences is Sam Raimi. And
yeah, they started out with him.
Well, I think a lot of the people who... there's people who like both the, the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans and they call it the Amazing Spider-Man, but it's actually the Ultimate Spider-Man movie. But these fucking Amazing Spider-Man movies are shit. I can't fucking stand them, and I've never even actually seen them, which I know is bad to say, but like I've seen the clips. These kids these days can't relate to a movie unless the main character has a fucking cell phone and is fucking emo or some shit like that. And that's what everybody complained about Spider-Man 3 because Peter Parker was emo, and like I didn't care for Spider-Man 3. Most people didn't care for Spider-Man 3.
I like the first half of Spider-Man 3. Then it's like, all right, let's throw shit in a blender and see what comes out.
Well, the problem with Spider-Man, let's start with the multitude of problems with Spider-Man 3. Of course, the nightclub scene.
Yeah.
And
well, originally Raimi didn't want Venom in the movie.
Yeah, and
the studio made him put it in.
All these kids are like,
forced.
What? Sam Raimi doesn't like Venom? He's no Spider-Man fan. This is what you kids gotta fucking understand. Most people read comics from the age of like 8 to the age of like 16, plus or minus like 4 years. Because before that you can't fucking read, and after that you fucking hit puberty and you find girls and you stop reading fucking comic books and you start chasing pussy.
Or Playboys.
Right.
But you don't really read those when you're 16.
Right, and
nowadays you get the fucking internet, so, all the challenges.
Sam Raimi is 10 years older than us, which makes him 20 years older than these kids. So when he read the Spider-Man comics, there was no Venom, which is kind of like how we feel about, like, the fucking Ultimate. Like, have you read or know anything about the Ultimate Spider-Man or the Ultimate?
Yes, I do.
And does that make you want to just, like, throw up in your hat?
I don't know if it makes me want to throw up in my hat, but it makes me go, huh?
Well,
what the fuck?
Well, I understand what they're doing is because kids don't want to read about some 30 or 40-year-old guy who's Spider-Man. They want to read about a kid who's Spider-Man. But on the other hand, what these kids got to realize is, like, people have been reading Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's over 50 years old.
Right. So all the old heads look at the new Spider-Man and they go, what the fuck is this shit? Now, from what I heard and what I've heard about the first one and what I've seen in clips of the second one is there's actually scenes of Peter Parker in the Spider-Man outfit talking on a fucking cell phone. Because that's what superheroes do these days. They talk on their fucking cell phone.
Hey, at least Dark Knight had an interesting idea for cell phones.
Right, but it was in context. The whole reason that the new Spider-Man movies has Spider-Man talking on a cell phone is because they could show a shot of the back of the phone where it's a Sony Ericsson or whatever the fuck brand.
Sony Experian, ain't it? Because
I don't. I haven't seen the movie, but that's the point that Spider-Man is talking on this. Like, I want to know in the Spider-Man universe. Like when I read comics, right? It was like Spider-Man either had to go north to go to the fucking pharmacy to get the prescription for Aunt May, who might have a heart attack if she doesn't get her medicine, or go south to fight the Green Goblin, who's going to blow up half the city, right?
Yeah.
But in the age of cell phones, you could just call fucking Walgreens and have them deliver the medication to Aunt May.
Yep.
So where the fuck is the problem? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and what about in the first one, Amazing Spider-Man, there's a whole thing about him having to pick up eggs. And
Pick up a what?
pick up a dozen eggs. And, you know, he keeps forgetting it, and then at the end he brings it in when he's all bloodied up and shit. But still, like, isn't there a lot of markets deliver, especially if there's elderly people in the house?
Yes. Any major market chain does that. Acme does it, fucking Pathmark does it, Giant does it, ShopRite does it. They
I
all
don't
do
have
it.
those down here.
You could have fucking
We got
gone
Kroger's,
and called them and had them delivered a dozen eggs. That's what I don't get. Well, that's what kids nowadays and adults too. Like we used to work at a pet store, and people would come in and ask me the most fucking mundane, stupid shit. And if you've ever been to a pet store, they have like little sections where they have the books, like where they sell the hamsters and gerbils. They have books about the hamsters and gerbils.
I remember I used to go to the pet store quite a bit.
Well, I'm explaining this to people who don't, pardon me, frequent pet stores. But people would ask me like, do frogs eat goldfish? And I would walk over to where the fucking books were, and I flipped to the back. In the back of books, kids, there's these things called indexes. And I would look up in the frog book food or fish or some shit like that, and I would flip to the page and read verbatim what it says on the page. And then the person, whether it be a kid or an adult, will go, oh, I could have just looked that up on my fucking phone. And I'm like, well, why the fuck didn't you?
Exactly. Hell, that's what I use the shit for. Hell, when I'm out at the doctor's, you know, for therapy or whatever, reason why I bring a cell phone is because I got my fucking magazines on there.
Or another thing you could do with your phone is you could actually use it like a, what the fuck do they call those things? Like a recorder.
Yeah.
A dictaphone, because your doctor's talking all fast, and after you hear, like, you know, 5 big words, you can't remember. But if you had your dictaphone on, like you do, like when you're in college, you know, remember you would record what the instructor was saying. So you could go back and listen to it. You could record that with your phone, and then be like, oh, okay, you said to take 1 of these in the morning, and then take 2 of these in the afternoon, and shit like that. But that shit doesn't fucking occur to people, even though 90% of the time they're awake, they're fucking doing something on their motherfucking cell phone.
Alright, here, you remember when I worked at Caldor up there?
And that was back in the day.
Yeah.
Because I used to work in the same building, but it was Walmart.
But this is the example I like to tell. Is this old guy comes in, and I've had a real pissy day because, you know, idiots kept bothering me. The other people were bothering me that were working there because they weren't doing their fucking jobs. That meant I had to do more shit. And, you know, you get a little pissed off and you take it out on someone. But I did this with a smile and being as polite as possible. This old guy comes in and goes, excuse me, sir, where's your shoes at? I'm like, well, you head straight down this way, and then you see that big sign up there that says shoes? You'll find it right there, sir. Oh, thank you. I feel stupid now. I'm glad I could help you feel that way, sir.
Oh, see, that wasn't so bad. When I worked at that same building and it was a Walmart and I worked in the home entertainment and electronics department, and a guy actually came in and asked where the fucking TVs were. And like,
You can't see it at the end of the damn thing.
well, I was behind the registers that are in the electronics department, and you can fucking see the giant wall of TVs, and
Yeah, you can see those when you enter the fucking Walmart from where at the ones I go to.
yeah, and this one too. If you came in through the main entrance, unless you came in through the lawn and garden that's on the side, you would walk in
Or
and look
the
straight
grocery
ahead.
store section.
Well, not only that, but like not only were the TVs on visually, but the speakers were on. You know, it was like playing shit. That was not the
There's
same
another
shit that
one.
was. So like even if you were blind, you could hear where the fucking TVs were.
I told you I worked at a theater in a mall, didn't I?
Yes.
This woman was in there with her kid walking around, looking around. She walks all the way down the hallway to where I'm at the usher stand and asks, do you play movies here? Yes, ma'am, we do. We're a theater in a mall, so we play movies. Then she goes out walking around for another 20 minutes. I see her walking around in the lobby. She comes back and asks me, do you need tickets to see the movie? I'm like, yes, ma'am, you do. Where do you buy it? Well, over towards the left, there's a big sign that says ticket. That's where the box office is.
How did she make it to the mall?
I just want to, you know what though? I feel sorry for that kid.
Well, maybe she was on like Xanax for postpartum depression, and
She had to be on something because, you know,
Well, I didn't finish my story.
walking around there for about 2 hours.
Well, I didn't finish my story because the guy asked me where the TVs were, and I was like, "You mean other than that giant wall of fucking TVs over there?" And he looks and goes, "Oh." And I'm just like, "Oh, dude, I used to work at a pet store, right?
Yeah.
And they sell dog collars, and on the dog collars, on the top, it says the length. It'll say like, adjustable 6 inches to 12 inches or whatever like
It
that.
gives you a rough size of the dog.
Right. And on the top it would say it in inches, and on the bottom it would say centimeters. I've had
Like,
more than a couple people ask me why it gives the measurement of the dog collar instead of giving what weight, because I don't know the diameter, or they wouldn't even use the word diameter. I wouldn't know the length of my dog's collar, but I know how much he weighs. And I'm like, well, you could have a bulldog or a greyhound, which would both weigh about the same weight, but would wear completely different sized collars, because one's fat and small and weighs,
and it's packed full of.
and weighs 60 pounds, and then a greyhound is tall and long and skinny and also weighs 60 pounds, possibly.
Yeah.
And after the third time I got asked that, I just said, "This, do you buy shoes?" And they go, "Yes." And I go, "Well, when you go to buy shoes, do they weigh you or do they measure your fucking feet?" Then I had one guy, right, because at the top it says how long it is in inches, and in the bottom it'll have it in centimeters. It'll say cm. And this guy asked me what cm stood for. And I said, centimeters.
Constant menstruals.
And then he asked me what centimeters were, which wouldn't be so puzzling, but the guy had a foreign accent, like an Eastern European, Russian, Yugoslavian, Polish type of accent.
Where they use the metric system?
Where they fucking use the metric system. And I swear to God, if I die of a fucking brain tumor, you know why. Like this past summer, I worked at a lawn and garden place. And it's a huge thing full of all types of fucking plants. and someone would come up and ask me if I knew where, like, the red geraniums were. And I would say, in this giant building, you expect me to know exactly where a specific color of a specific type of plant is. Or, well, they would ask me, well, do you have red?
Hmm.
And I'm like, how do you know if they're red? And they would have to say,
Picture on the packet.
well, no, they would have the flowers on them would be red. These
And
are
they,
live plants, not seeds.
oh shit, man.
Right. Do you have geraniums? Yeah, what size? They come in fucking 6-packs, 12-packs, 1 pints, 3 quarts. You know, there's all different fucking hanging baskets. There's all different sizes of them.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't know what they want, but they would ask, where are the red ones? And I go, I don't know. How do you tell if they're red or not? How would you tell if the flowers were red or not, Pat?
Well, if they're colorblind, that would be a reason, but usually I go by what color it is.
Right, but how would you tell what color something is?
Look at it.
Yeah, fucking look, like, because the place you can see the people pull up, and they don't fucking bother looking at all. They just, you're busy doing something, and they come right the fuck up to you and ask you.
So that's the thing. When I go into a store and they ask me a question, I've got a specific answer for them. Or, yeah, like when I bought this tablet and actually went to Best Buy for the first time in over a year and a half. Because, Best Buy sucks now. There, I said it. And the one
By the
down
way,
here,
anybody
guys,
listening now understands why this is called Random Thoughts of Stupidity, because we started off on why
on
kids
one
don't know anything about
thing, and we
movies.
get sidetracked. Because we just start getting pissed off and got to rant and vent and...
Years of drinking and doing drugs.
Yep.
But we'll get back to why kids don't know anything about movies.
Yeah, we'll circle back, but we've got to make our stupid little points and get this off our chest for a little while. Yeah, and we'll feel better. Therapeutic, that's what, my therapist would say.
You're in Best Buy and you had a specific question?
Yeah, I'm like, well, where's this make and model tablet? I want to try out the demo to see what it's like, see if I'm going to spend that much money on it.
See, that's a good question. That's a specific question.
Yep. When they ask me at Walmart, can they help me? I ask for, like, I'm looking for this movie here. Where do you have it in? I love that when I would go to Best Buy and ask that, they literally looked at me with a blank stare on their face. I'm like, can you look it up on your computer there? Because, that was at the time when I didn't have a phone that could do that kind of shit.
Well, when I worked at Walmart, they would ask me if I could look it up on the computer. I go, no, I don't have a computer to look it up on. All I have is...
Yeah, but at Best Buy, they got computer terminals at every other aisle.
Right. And also at Best Buy, they have like a lot more movie selection. Walmart just happens to have whatever they have. And I know from working at Walmart, they don't... They somewhat categorize their movies by like action and horror, but not really. They're more categorized by the price. $5.99, $8.99, $14.99.
The one I go to categorized or alphabetically, so it makes it a little easier.
Well, the one that I worked at was kind of small because it was the renovated Caldor. So like they had what they called inline.
Yeah.
But then they had those like 4-way things fucking in the aisle, and they were in alphabetical order, but you could have fucking Nightmare from Elm Street and fucking this, that, and the Never Ending Story. It could all be in the $8 thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, just a couple of weeks ago, I bought an SD card, a micro SD card for this thing, and went in there and I couldn't find it. I was looking in the computer section. And someone asked me, can I help you? Yeah, where's your micro SD cards? Oh, it's with the cameras. Where's the cameras at? you know, it was another section over, but, you know, they just pointed in the direction, and I'm like, all right, I got it.
Yeah, but
I'm good.
that's a specific question. But like, when I worked at the pet store, people would ask shit like, "My dog's throwing up blood. Do you have anything for that?" What they would,
It's
what type
called
of?
a vet.
Yeah, I was like, "Well, what did your vet say?" Oh, I didn't take my dog to the vet. It was only throwing up fucking blood. Like seriously, every like 2 or 3 times a week, you would get asked questions like that. Like my cat's fucking shitting blood, or doing something that you would take the cat or the dog or whatever animal it was to a fucking doctor. But instead of doing that, they would go to the pet store and ask the guy making $8 an hour.
Yes, I'm making $8 an hour. That's how I'm able to afford my what the veterinary. I can't speak anymore. God damn it.
I like
Uh,
medical.
veterinary. Shit. I'm getting tongue tied. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. I'm not a fucking vet. I work at I'm basically I take shit from a fucking truck and put it on the shelf. And you're asking me like a fucking
My
medical.
job's gonna be replaced by robots one day.
My job could have been replaced by monkeys on that day.
Yeah.
Oh my god! But these kids don't know anything about. Like they fancy themselves film critics, but then like you go, have you ever seen like Metropolis? And they go, Metropolis, like from Superman? And you go, no, the
No.
silent film Metropolis? And they go, huh?
Oh, I don't watch anything in black and white.
Oh, I fucking had to deal with one of them fucking people too.
Hmm.
That's like saying you don't listen to any music that was recorded before like digital media.
Yeah.
Like I don't listen to the Beatles. Because that was back when they had analog recording before they had CDs.
I don't listen to the Beatles because I'm not really big on them.
Yeah,
I'll
but
listen to some Stones.
well, same thing. But if you're a fucking music buff, even if you don't particularly like the Beatles, you gotta like
You
pay.
acknowledge them.
You acknowledge them because they did like kind of change the fucking music business.
Like we were talking about the one time. Like I said, I personally do not like The Godfather or Godfather 2. But I see why people think it's great and why it's loved. And I acknowledge that it's considered a classic movie. It's just not for me.
Right. But it's not right, exactly. But you know what the fuck it is.
Yep.
These kids don't know, like I said, they don't know fucking Metropolis. They don't know Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, Lawrence of Arabia.
Yo, Jimbo.
They don't know who the fuck Akira Kurosawa is, but Star Wars Episode 3 is their fucking favorite movie. And then you tell them, well, the characters and plot for the original Star Wars trilogy were stolen directly from the Akira Kurosawa film The Hidden Fortress.
Yep.
And their eyes just glaze the fuck over. And they don't know who Sergio Leone is. Sergio Leone, however you want to pronounce it. They don't know the fucking Fistful of Dollars, The Good, Bad, the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in the West. They don't have the
Ones that say Clash of the Titans is corny.
Clash of the Titans. I have that on DVD.
Same here. The last Harryhausen film.
Ray Harryhausen, the man. He learned from Willis O'Brien.
Yep.
Who these
And Willis O'Brien pretty much invented that shit.
And for the kids listening who don't know, Willis O'Brien was the guy who animated King Kong in the original King Kong.
And also he did the silent film The Lost World, which has nothing to do with Jurassic Park. It's based on a Sir Arthur Conan Doyle book. And that's the guy who created Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, and Sherlock Holmes is a fictional character for kids who don't know that.
Yeah, not some TV show on CBS or British TV show with a guy that played that retarded version of Khan.
Khan?
Yeah, and Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh, you're talking about the newer Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, well, they've also got one on CBS called Elementary, which is the American remake of that.
Oh no, I watched like I think it was the '60s or the '70s PBS. Some
Yeah,
nights they play Sherlock Holmes, and they don't show it, but they talk about him doing heroin.
yeah.
And then there's one from the '50s that's in black and white, and that one's marvelous.
Is that one of the Basil Rathbone ones, or was his in the 30s?
I think he was before that. He was in the '30s.
Yeah,
This one in the '50s.
his were still freaking awesome though.
Oh, he is Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
But
Though I have to admit, who didn't Peter Cushing play him one time?
in the Bound of the Hasker, the
Yeah,
Hound of the
I like
Baskervilles.
Peter Cushing as Sherlock. Then again, I like Peter Cushing anyway, so you know.
Well, the one from the '50s, and I don't know if they did this in any of the others, but it's if you go, I don't know if it's still on there, but a couple years ago I was watching them on Hulu,
Yeah,
and they showed like the first episode is like how they meet and shit like that, and it's actually Watson comes back from he's a doctor in the army, in the British Army, and he actually
yeah,
comes back from Afghanistan. That's how long we've been there. I mean, different country, but still.
yeah.
And he needs a place to stay, and Sherlock Holmes is looking for somebody to split the rent with. And Dr. Watson is no dummy. I mean, he's a fucking doctor, and he meets Sherlock Holmes, and he's astounded at the fact that Sherlock Holmes knows of every type of plant and flower that you can derive of some type of poison from,
Yeah.
but he can't tell a daisy from a doorknob. And in talking with him, Watson finds out that Sherlock Holmes didn't know that the Earth revolved around the sun, not the other way around.
Huh.
And Sherlock Holmes explains that, Dr. Watson, I want to solve murders. That's why he knows of every plant that you can make a poison from, but he doesn't know about all the other flowers. Because Sherlock Holmes is smart enough to know that he's not smart enough to know everything in the world. So
Yep.
So he focuses his attention to
On what he's good
at what he's good at and what's going to help him solve murders. And he says, whether the Earth revolves around the sun or the other way around, what difference does it make as long as it rises and sets?
Yep.
But that's that tangent. But still, these kids, they don't know nothing. They go, oh, the Amazing Spider-Man. And you can like, it's your opinion, you can like the Amazing Spider-Man too. But the movie is fucking shit. It has no fucking plot. The villains are there just to be villains.
Yeah. Me and my one friend on Xbox Live were talking about that one day. About what would have made the Amazing Spider-Man great is don't introduce the Lizard. Just have it where he's going around beating up thugs and looking for the guy that killed Uncle Ben. I'm like, you know, and maybe you have a small-time hood like maybe Hammerhead or something like that.
I haven't seen either of them. I probably stabbed myself in the head with a fork. But I did see Spider-Man 3 once in the theaters, and
Me too. I saw it at 4 a.m. because that's when I got off from work.
I was so disappointed because they completely ruined what the black suit was supposed to like represent. It's basically the ring from fucking Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Is like what I was expecting, something like that. But they didn't really get in. And then like Venom was, and then didn't when the dude joined with the and it's the TV's Topher Grace, when they should have got like a WWE wrestler or something to play Eddie Brock.
All right, let's switch same subject, just a different tangent. Did you see that fan film about Venom? I forget the title of it, but
No.
it was shot in black and white.
No.
That's not where they're doing this documentary on Eddie Brock. And, you know, it's basically like Venom where he's becoming the anti-hero, you know what I mean? Where he still hates Spider-Man, but he's at least killing people that deserve to be killed.
You mean like the Venom comic books when he got his
Yeah,
own series?
yeah.
I have them. He went
But
to the
it's
West
actually
Coast.
done really nicely.
Didn't he end up going to the West Coast in the comics at least?
I do not even remember, dude. It's been so long.
That's what I think I remember. But back to the thing when they had the symbiote suit, and people referred to when Peter Parker's in the black suit as the Venom costume when it's not the fucking Venom costume
It's the black suit.
or the symbiote suit because
Yeah.
only when the symbiote suit joins with Eddie Brock, he's Venom because he's poisonous to Spider-Man. You
Yep.
stupid assholes.
It's because they hated Peter Parker so much.
Right, but it's like no, I love Venom. And when Peter Parker's in the Venom costume, no, you're fucking, you suck. You suck. But when TV's Topher Grace joins with the symbiote suit, I'm almost certain that the first line out of his mouth is, I am going to kill Spider-Man or some shit like that, and you just punch yourself in the face. Because anybody who knows anything about Venom, he says we.
Yep.
He never says I. And
Yep.
I don't understand why they didn't give him like a dual voice. I know you're not into Dragon Ball Z, but in Dragon Ball Z, the cartoon,
I've started getting into it. I'm just not heavily into it. You know what I mean?
when Goku and Vegeta or
Oh, it's
Trunks,
all the unedited episodes. I'm
yeah,
like, okay, this is pretty cool.
yeah, or Trunks
It drags on too long.
and Goten, they do the fusion dance, and it's like two people fusing the one, and they actually have the two actors say the same line simultaneously, and you can
There's
actually
something
hear.
else that they did that in.
Well, that's what they should have done with Venom, but they didn't do that. It should have been two voices at once. One in Eddie Brock's regular voice, and then a voice like.
Oh yeah, and also here's another thing. What about where the Venom's face pulled off so they could show Topher with some funky fangs, or Eric Foreskin?
Uh, well, the earlier in that movie, like it's okay, it's a comic book movie, and I'm willing to suspend my disbelief to some degree. But when him and Mary Jane are hanging out in like where they in Central Park, and the symbiote suit just falls out of fucking outer space. Think of how big the Earth is.
Yep.
Think of how big fucking outer space is.
Well, you know, since they introduced him in part 2, how come they didn't go the cartoon route?
That's exactly what I wondered, because they had that all lined up at the end of part 2. J. Jonah Jameson Jr. was an astronaut.
Yep.
And he was going to go to the moon or into outer space or some shit like that. I was totally expecting the similar thing that they did in the cartoon where his space shuttle is fucking re-entering and Spider-Man's got to go save him, and the symbiote suit latched onto that. Because obviously they can't do
Spider-Man 3 was basically too many cooks in the kitchen. And, you know, Raimi lost control and just seemed like he said, fuck it, because they were doing the same thing when they were going to do part 4, because originally Raimi wanted the Lizard. Because, you know, Raimi just wanted like one villain at a time. But the studio wanted more. And then they went with the, what was it, the Vulture there was rumors about?
And then it was going to be the Vulture-S.
Yeah, and that's when Raimi and Tobey Maguire just said, we're done. We're out of here.
See, the thing that I read was that was Sam Raimi's idea, but he probably didn't want to fucking do anymore. He wanted to go back to horror.
Yep.
Or whatever. Just fucking get out of it. Do other shit. So he fucked it up on purpose. That way they drop it. But like, here's the thing that I don't.
Since we've got Raimi going here, you've heard about the stuff that was announced from him at Comic-Con, didn't you?
About what?
The stuff he announced at Comic-Con?
No, what?
They're working on an Evil Dead series.
Oh, a
TV series.
Yeah, I won't be watching that shit.
With Bruce Campbell as the star.
He's like 69 years old, dude.
No, he's 50. Or 52.
Did you see Bubba Hotep?
I saw that in the theater, man. Awesome fucking movie.
That was a good movie. And he's what's his character's name from Hercules and Xena?
Oh shit.
I think I have the action figure somewhere. Autolycles or
Yeah, I mainly remember Joxer the Mighty.
I know the song. Doctor the Mighty, he's very tidy. Okay, that's all I know. But still, I know the tempo of the song.
Yeah, but he also announced he's producing the Last of Us movie.
The Last of Us.
That PlayStation game.
I don't play video games anymore.
Yeah, well, it's a really good story. Actually, I guess you'd say it's a realistic zombie story because it's about where people get spores in them, and it starts taking over their minds and basically turning them into killers until the fungus wants to kill them, and you know, you've seen that on nature documentaries about the ants, haven't you? Or zombie ants.
Yeah.
That's what it's based on. But what if that adapted to humans? Because in this one here, you can choke a zombie out. They don't call them zombies, they call them infected. But let's be honest, that's what they are.
28 days later?
Yeah. Well, they would still keep coming at you until you tore them to pieces.
Yeah, fuck those zombies. What about this is my thing personally. I watched a guy who did a video and he loved anime back in the day, and like people were telling him about. I think they were telling him about Attack on Titan. You ever see that one?
Yeah, I've seen Attack on Titan. Yes.
And he said he's kind of done on anime only because everywhere he goes, you walk into Hot Topic or FYE or this store and that store, and it's all anime, and like everybody's jumping on the anime bandwagon. He's back when he was in high school, like you were a dork if you liked anime.
Yep.
And
but back then, what was it called?
Cartoons.
Japanimation.
Japanimation. I remember that one. I remember people called it cartoons, and it's like, dude, these are not cartoons.
And you know when people call anime cartoons over here, the fans get all pissy. But in Japan, you know, Simpsons is considered anime because anime stands for animation.
It's just an abbreviation of animation.
Yes. Mickey Mouse is a fucking anime because it's animated.
See, I always get confused by that because, like, is Pokemon a cartoon?
Yes.
Or is it anime? Because it is written by Japanese people and animated by Japanese people.
Yep.
Unlike the original, like, G.I. Joe and Transformers cartoons, which were written by Americans, but animated by Japanese people.
Yep. But now, remember, most anime now is animated by Koreans.
Well, soon it'll be China because they make every fucking thing else.
Yep.
Or Mexicans. If you go to the store, if it's not made in China, it's made in fucking Mexico. You know they make.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to envision a Mexican anime.
Well, they have Mexican cartoons.
No, but I'm talking about something completely stereotypical racist type thing.
Oh.
That would just be hilarious because of how bad it would be.
Work on it and bring it up in the next episode. Real quick, This is what I would have done with Spider-Man 3 coming off of Spider-Man 2. Alright, you had Dr. Octopus fell in the water and died or whatever shit like that, right? Why do they always kill the villains? They shouldn't have killed Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, he was great.
But, this is another thing. This is my one nitpick with Spider-Man 2 was the actor who plays Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
Has a naturally, like, British accent.
Yeah.
But in the movie, they have him with an American accent.
Yep.
Where his name is Otto Octavius, which is either
German or
Greek.
Yeah.
Otto is like a German
I'm just thinking of the cartoons where they always gave him a German accent.
Right. Because if you're British and you can fake an American accent, you can fake a German accent.
Oh yeah.
So I don't understand why they did that. But okay, at the end of Spider-Man 2, Dr. Octopus falls in the water. But what if fucking Harry Osborn had like the blueprints for Dr. Octopus's arms, but like 4 was like, you know, too much for him to make. but he could make one of them. And him and J. Jonah Jameson pulled some money together, and they made the Scorpion.
Exactly.
Because everybody goes, "Oh, Venom is Spider-Man's greatest arch nemesis," which I agree. You know, at the time he came out, he could block Spider-Man's spider sense, and he had all the same powers, but was even stronger. He could web sling, you know, and shit like that. But at the time that the Scorpion came out, the Scorpion was one of Spider-Man's greatest arch nemesis because he could walk on walls.
Yep.
Just like Spider-Man could. And plus, he's the Scorpion Spider-Man. They're both like fucking bugs and shit.
Yep.
And they skipped right by that. And why the fuck in part 3 did they did not have to make Sandman where he was the one who killed Uncle Ben?
Yeah.
That shit just was ridiculous.
Yep.
They could have just had him a villain. But I would have made it where they have the Scorpion, right, in the beginning, and then near the middle, you have the J. Jonah Jameson Jr. cartoon thing where he has to save him, and he gets the symbiote outfit that way, and that gives him the strength to defeat the Scorpion, and then at the end, it kind of cliffhangs with him just starting to realize that the suit is taking him over, just like it was, you know, in the comic book. And
have that, like I said, the scene in Spider-Man 3 where he's ripping off the symbiote suit.
Yeah.
And it goes on to Eric Foreman. That should have been how the movie ended.
Yes. Absolutely. When I hear people saying, too, that they should do Carnage, and it's like, well, in these new Amazing Spider-Man films, I was like, well, you have to introduce Venom before you introduce Carnage.
Yep.
And I know that you personally, are you a fan of the Carnage? See, I'm not either.
Interesting.
I remember when he came out, like, I have the issues where, like, they were slowly introducing the Carnage character.
I thought it was cool, though, that it was, you know, he was a friggin' serial killer.
See, that's why I figured you would like him.
Yeah, but I just got a little tired of Marvel comics at that time.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, it's Venom, but more. And it's like, well, why don't you come up with a whole different thing? They don't have Super Scorpion and Super Dr. Octopus, because that's basically, you know, it's like Super Venom Carnage.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't into Carnage, because for me, Spider-Man was about, like, fun, neat shit, not about, like, graphic murder.
Yeah.
If I wanted to read a comic book about graphic murder, I'd get, like, a Tales from the Crypt comic book, or something more along...
Faust, remember those comics?
Yeah, see, these kids don't even know what Faust comic books are. Imagine Gore in, like, comic book form.
Yep.
Kinda, something like that. Gore and...
extreme graphic violence and porn mixed together.
Yes. What was the I can't remember. Elsa? Was that her name? Not from Faust, but that was another comic.
Elsa the She-Witch?
Elsa
the She-Wolf of the SS?
Yes, where she was an S&M Nazi broad.
Yeah, those movies, yeah.
Well, there was a comic book too, right?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Remember Comic Fest 93?
Yep.
When I got there, see, back before there was Comic Con, there was Comic Fest, and
well, every city had their little comic convention.
Yeah, but ours had Vampirella.
Oh yeah.
In that outfit.
Well, so did Steve's Comic Relief.
They had Vampirella there?
Yeah, at that party.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember, I don't know how, what would we, like 16, 17?
I was 18, you were 16.
Yeah, so I was 16, and there's, if you folks, if you don't know what Vampirella looks like, go Google her. Now imagine like a real life model wearing that outfit. So
that actually had that proportion.
Yeah, and I went up to
Not like in that god-awful movie with the chick who played Katana in Mortal Kombat wearing that outfit.
No, dude, this girl had a nice rack. And went over.
Shield small children from the rain.
Yes, and went over to get the you bought the poster and got it signed by her, and she asked me my name, and you had to tell her my name
Yeah.
because I was just like diet, 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 diet. Uh-oh. Are you still? Oh, okay. Your screensaver popped on. Now it's complete darkness. But to
What's that?
recap, you kids know nothing about fucking movies, and you need to stop reviewing movies. And just to tell you that if you walk,
Just watch everything.
right,
From the dawn, you've got 20 years worth of movies, give or take.
yeah, but like I typed you on Facebook is like if you kids you fancy yourself film critics, if you went to college and took a film history class, the teacher would laugh you out of the fucking classroom if you
Oh yeah.
if you told them your favorite movies were fucking The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and fucking what's another stupid one, the Resident Evil fucking films, and you told them you never saw Casablanca, you never saw Gone with the Wind, you never saw Lawrence of Arabia, you don't watch fucking silent movies, you don't fucking watch black and white movies. You suck. That's like fancying yourself a food critic where like you eat at Taco Bell twice a week and the fanciest meal you ever had was at fucking Applebee's. You like that one. I'm gonna type that out one time. That's straight up though. It's like fancy yourself a food critic where like you think Taco Bell is delicious.
You know what? It was funny. Was I was seeing all these so-called reviews for the new Godzilla movie, saying that it was a remake of the 1998 Roland Emmerich film.
Those people need to smash themselves in the head with a fucking sledgehammer. Not that you're not allowed to like the movie, because I heard a lot of people complain that it was boring, and I haven't seen it yet, but they shouldn't have killed the dude, Ralph.
Walter White.
Yeah, Walter White.
Yeah.
The dad from Malcolm in the Middle.
And they should have showed Godzilla more, but...
Well, that's every Godzilla movie, even like the ones from the 90s. You can never get enough Godzilla, that's the thing.
Exactly.
But, people don't... That's... People, you... And people...
And when you overdose in it, and go the old goofy route, you get Pacific Rim.
Right. Which Pacific Rim was a great movie, fun movie.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was no Academy Award-winning film, but the very first 1956?
54.
54. I always get confused about that shit because the...
56 was the Perry Mason version.
Right. Which, this is what you kids that watch the new Godzilla... And I'm saying you can watch the new Godzilla movie and not enjoy it. I heard it was, you know, it was kind of slow and boring, stuff like that. But you need to go back...
Slow burn, definitely.
First, watch it, the American version of the 1954-56 film first.
Yeah.
And then watch the Japanese 1954 version, because if you watch it the other way around, it'll piss you off.
Yep.
Because even back then, Hollywood was fucking up films.
Yep.
But if you watch, and you have to know your fucking world history and World War II to understand the very first Godzilla film, they completely, in the Americanized version, the 56 version, they completely gloss over the love triangle that's going on in that film.
Yep.
And like
they remove almost all the stuff about the atomic bomb and Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
They delete all of that shit because we're the ones that fucking bombed them.
Yeah.
But they also they cut out the fucking love story and the importance, the effect of the doctor's self-sacrifice at the end.
Yep.
Because if you watch the 1954 version, the girl, people don't, it was an arranged marriage. She was supposed to marry the doctor with the eye patch. But instead she fell in love with the guy. He was like a captain or something in the army.
Yeah, you know that guy's cameo was cut out of the new Godzilla?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, I'm sure they he's in the over
deleted the
version.
bonus section on the DVD.
Oh yeah, I'm getting the DVD when it comes out, just to see, because like I told you, my mom was like, oh, because she saw the commercial for the Fiat cars or whatever it was.
Yeah,
It's like he's back and he's craving Italian. And mom thought it was going to be like, one of, the goofier Godzilla films. And I was like, no, mom, it's actually going to be more serious. And she's like, well, let's go see it anyways. And my mom works 8 days a week, so that never happened.
hmm
And it was out and gone. But
yeah,
but back to the thing is like, see, the girl was in love with the guy who was in the army when she had set up an arranged marriage, and the doctor let her out of it, and he ends up at the end sacrificing himself in the water, releasing the oxygen destroyer, and he pulls the cable on the other guy's rope so that they pull him up on the army dude's rope.
yep,
You remember that shit? And
yep,
right before right, because they were going to stay down together, and and when he sends him up, he tells him to take care of the woman that he loves. And
yeah.
when they fucking did it in the American version, meaning the '56 with Perry Mason, they completely fucking gloss over that, and it just pisses you the fuck off.
And also, it goes more into the fact that he doesn't want it to be a weapon.
Yes, they kind of do that. They spend a whole 37 seconds on that.
Well, because I watched the 54 one the day before I went and saw the new one. I'm like, this plays out similar. I mean, it's a different story, different mythology. At least the new one's not a perfect film, but at least it's setting up the groundwork.
But it's getting a second one, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go. They set it up. Did you see
And,
Man of Steel?
yeah,
What did you think?
I enjoyed it.
I didn't. I tried, because I know people who did like it, and I respect their opinions on it. I went in trying to like it, but I just could not like that movie.
Yeah,
Okay,
remember I told you it's more like the cartoons.
well, I tried to look at it like a cartoon. That's why I did enjoy the first 20 minutes on Krypton. But there's some major fucking plot holes in that film.
Oh, yeah. They're not perfect, but I really liked it.
See, I couldn't help but, okay, when the Superman goes on the alien ship,
Yeah,
and for no particular reason they want Lois Lane as well. And they go onto the ship, and on the ship, Superman hands Lois Lane the fucking Kryptonian memory card.
yeah. The flash drive.
Yeah, it's a Kryptonian flash drive is what it is. And then they scan their brains. They don't fucking search her. They're like soldiers, right?
Yeah.
They don't fucking search her, and they scan her brain. Is it because she's a human and not a Kryptonian? Is there fucking brain scanner on the fritz? Because it just happened
I don't think
10.
they scanned her brain. I think they only scanned Clark's.
No, because after when they meet up again, she's like, "Oh, they scanned my brain, or they tried to scan my brain."
No, because it was on Cinemax last night.
Oh, really?
Some of it.
Well,
And I don't remember seeing that.
I think I'll like the when they finally play it on like regular TV with the commercial edits on like
Yeah.
regular. I think I might like that version better because they'll cut out the first line from Lois Lane. She says measuring dicks or measuring cocks.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, they want to show that Lois Lane is tough and all, but they could have wrote like any one of 1,000 lines other than Lois Lane saying dicks.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, Superman and Lois Lane have been around for 80 years, and when I think of Lois Lane, she's kind of like a motherly figure. And you don't want to hear your mom say dicks unless you're going to the sporting goods store.
Again, like I said, I was never a huge fan of the comics. You know that.
No, I wasn't either.
Because, to be honest, I didn't like most of DC comics. I was Marvel up till I discovered the indie scene.
Independence.
Yep.
I wa- I definitely like I have three long boxes full of comics, and they're definitely like probably like 90, 85, 90% Marvel comics,
Yeah.
and then maybe like 1% DC. The rest of them are like Image, Dark Horse, and then just like random shit.
Yep.
But I'm less of a Marvel fan, I would say, than I was a Stan Lee fan
Yeah.
because I read the comics now and they're unreadable.
Uh,
Like I was saying now, like I got a recent Punisher, and recent I mean like 2008 or whatever like that comic book Punisher comic book, and it's like after they got rid of the comic code, and instead of having like a good story, they just have a
yeah.
lot of cursing, and like when people get shot in the head, they show it like gratuitously, like their heads all exploding and shit like that. I liked it back before when they had the comic code because it was actually a challenge, and they had to write like a enthralling story to keep you into it. And you could just when they had cursing, but it was like the Kubert stuff. I think some of them they would actually write bleep,
Uh,
but
or
they
they
would
just had the squig, the ampersand,
yeah, the Kuberts.
@ what else? There's,
Yeah,
a bunch of random keys.
yeah.
Like I said, the last Punisher book I read was Welcome Back, Frank, and that came out, what, around 2000 or so. It's kind of the in-between stage,
Yeah,
and it's the one,
I
that they used a lot of that to make the Thomas Jane movie.
yeah. Well, I saw the Thomas Jane one in the theater 3 times.
Yeah,
The first time I went by myself because I didn't want to go with anybody just in case they fucked it up again. And by again, I mean what's his name,
Dolph Lundgren's.
Dolph Lundgren. And like after I saw it, I was like, okay, I approve of this film as a hardcore Punisher fan. I can take anybody with me and have them watch this film who doesn't read the comic and doesn't know who the Punisher is. Although they changed a lot of shit. If everybody says, oh, you don't like the new Spider-Man or this movie or that movie because they changed shit, I have no problem with them changing shit because I love the fucking Thomas Jane movie because they got the main character and the essence of the character correct.
Yeah, they kept the
Um,
spirit of who they are.
yeah, and they kind of upped the ante instead of just his. Because I've read
Wife and
comics,
kids, it wiped out his whole family.
yeah, which makes more sense because it's like, how come he never, where's his parents, where's his wife's parents, where, all those open-ended questions that you can get away with in a comic book because it's under the premise of a comic book, but you can't necessarily get away with in a movie because there's lots of questions because you think of things in a different way when you're watching a movie.
Also, most of the time, you only got 2 hours to explain all this crap.
Yeah, it's another thing. People complained about that in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films that they gave him organic web shooters. And it's like, well, they had to get on with the thing. And wasn't that you told me, I believe, that was what's his nuts, Titanic guy. I'm drunk.
James
Uh,
Cameron?
wasn't it James Cameron was working on a Spider-Man script when Titanic came out because I remember talk of Leonardo DiCaprio playing Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And he was the first guy to introduce that they gave him organic web shooters. Am I right?
I don't know, to be honest.
But it makes sense because then they can get along with. Because how the fuck is he gonna? If you can build organic web shooters, why wouldn't he? Why? How would that occur to you? Even though if you have got bitten by a spider and can stick to walls, how would that occur to you that hey, I'll build these gizmos that go onto my wrist that shoot webs? And how do
Not
you
just
fucking
that.
design that shit? And how do you come up with the fluid to be that strong?
Well, not just that. Where do you get the money to make that shit?
Yes,
And you're a teenager.
which brings me back to the Amazing Spider-Man films, where is Spider-Man Peter Parker not poor anymore? Because apparently he has a fucking cell phone, but he doesn't have a job. But does Aunt May pay for that shit?
Probably. I got it from Uncle Ben's insurance policy.
Ah. See, kids, your priorities are fucked up. You should have a job and a car before you have a fucking cell phone.
Yep.
Fuck you.
A 9-year-old doesn't need a cell phone.
Especially a fucking iPhone. What did I fucking call them? Am I
Yeah.
right? Is it an iPhone?
Yeah, fucking Apple.
Ah,
I hate Apple.
I fucking hate kids.
I know. I used to work where they'd have birthday parties and stuff like that. Yeah, that's another thing I saw a lot at the theater. A guy come in bringing his 10 and 8-year-old kids to see, like, fucking The Hangover and The Hangover 2. Why would you take your little kid to see that?
Right. Well, I remember, shit, RoboCop came out in what, 86, 87?
87.
And my dad took me to see that.
Same here.
And then my mom took me to see part 2, never seeing part 1, because that was back in the day before home video was big and stuff like that.
Yep.
And she thought, well, if the old man took him to see the first one, obviously, my mom was fucking flabbergasted. and part 2 isn't nearly as bad as part 1.
Oh. But it's got some pretty crazy moments in it.
Yeah, well, the scene where they introduce all the RoboCop 2s,
Yeah.
the failed experiments.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I love that one. You know, my mom likes I don't remember what was out. This like the fucking Waltons, you know. Uh-oh. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, I heard that. Bing.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I didn't know if my computer does that when you disconnect or reconnect the camera. All right. Well, holy shit, dude.
What's that? Time?
Yeah, it is 11:37. I don't know what time it is on the fucking counter. It doesn't show a time.
Hang on. Holy shit, an hour and 3 minutes.
Well, no one's gonna watch this. But anyways, you kids fucking suck. You need to watch the fucking old classics before you start talking about new films. I mean, you can like what you like.
It's alright to have opinions. But just
don't,
because they're your opinions doesn't mean they're everybody's.
right, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And to call, like, whatever, all these shitty movies. Here, dude, I'll talk about something real quick. I never saw any of the Expendable movies in the theaters because I really had no interest. And they were playing part 1
I saw them on TV.
Yeah, well, they're playing part 1 on regular TV. I lasted about 15 seconds. And since you've seen the movies, I can describe to you, I flipped it on, and it was in some part of the movie, you know, it wasn't from the beginning, and it's Sylvester Stallone in like a Jeep or like a Humvee, driving through, like, Fallujah or some town, like, in the Middle East or something like that. And the cameras... And where did the thing go? See if we get this to work. The camera's doing this shit as they're driving through the fucking town, and I just
Shaky cam.
yeah, I literally got motion sickness. Do you remember when we went to film? You went to film school and I went to video production school, but I did have one film class, and
Yeah.
it was all about making the camera fluid.
Yep.
And you know, the 10 Commandments for camera use is lock your fucking camera down. Use a tripod. Remember, we had a wheelchair. Yeah, remember, well, we didn't have like tracks. Yeah, we didn't have tracks to make like a dolly system and shit like that. And we, you know, so we would use like a wheelchair. Now everything is fucking, and you know why that is because every idiot out there's got a video camera and they're shooting shit and they don't know what they're doing, and it's fucking filmed by a bumblebee. So now it's acceptable that your fucking camera, and that's because there's nothing interesting actually going on in the movie as far as like story content, plot, character development. So to cover up that shit, they fucking shake the camera and do all this crazy shit. It's annoying. I hate it. But all right, it's been good talking to you. Your kids gotta know your shit. Watch fucking Gone with the Wind. Watch Casablanca. I don't
You
care.
cannot like them, but
Huh.
at least acknowledge them.
Yes, you don't have to like them, but at least acknowledge them, and you might be surprised you might like them.
Yep, and you might learn something.
Yes, like history.
Hmm.
Gone with the Wind, you'll learn about the Civil War. Godzilla,
Yeah, it's got a
you'll
lot
learn.
of factual errors in it, though, but still.
Well, watch Godzilla, you'll learn about World War II.
Yep.
Or it should be you should know about World War II and then watch Godzilla. You should know about the Civil, because you don't understand. You don't get the fucking the heaviness. What's the word I'm looking for? The
Context?
the context, but like the weight of what the fucking concept is.
Yep.
All right, this is Random Thoughts of Stupidity. I'm stupidity. He's random.
Yep.
I'm a fucking plate of waffles. He's
Keep it
Godzilla.
real and keep it stupid.
There you go. Signing off.